Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Cutting Stems, the Bachelorette's after show. We have Rio, we have Kelly, we have myself, Fran, no Trent, sadly, who is quite literally the star of the show, and he could not be more unavailable. We don't have him to talk with at all. Everyone's probably so excited. They just watched Trent's big moments, and they're hoping to hear his thoughts. He's not here.
It's truly so upsetting because it's like the one part of the show I want to talk about with Trent, and we can't talk about it. Everyone's like, oh my God, Trent. And yet we don't have him. But he did release a statement regarding his appearance on the show. And his official statement was, I was ready. So take that as you will, whatever that means to you. He was ready. He was ready to go.
You know, it's sad because we all watched the episode. We all saw what happened. I was ready to go nuclear on Sean. Like I was like if Sean was the reason that poll didn't happen, I was ready to just lay into him. Like I was like, oh my God, if this guy sends himself home and like that his luggage doesn't get pulled because he's sending himself home, like something like that, I was gonna freak out. But at the end of the day, it was Charity's decision. And you know, I respect Charity. I think she's been a great Bachelorette, so I can't be that upset at Charity.
Agreed. I think Charity has been a great Bachelorette as well, but I was kind of pissed at her in this moment just because we would have gotten Trent pulling Sean's luggage, because at the end of the day, she didn't feel the connection with Sean and sent him home, but yet no luggage pull. So I was a little pissed at Charity, although she's been great, so I'm not going to hold it against her. And we ended up getting a hilarious scene from Trent. So.
Yeah, agreed. And I do think, I know we'll get into it in a minute, but obviously Sean and Tanner were on a 2-on-1 date, something that we haven't seen in a while. I feel 2-on-1 dates are one of my personal favorites because there's always fireworks. There's always somebody's mad, somebody's feeling left out, whatever. And I think, though, that because Charity she really has her head on straight and she's really thinking a lot about this. She's not trying to hurt people's feelings. She's trying to find love without leaving too much destruction in her path. And I think it was mature of her to not pitch them against each other in that moment, because whenever we do have the 2-on-1s, it's very much like him versus him or her versus her. You know what I mean? And I think that as fun as it is from a dramatic standpoint, I think, you know, at the end of the day, she looks good. She comes out of this looking good, looking mature, whatever. So yeah, for selfish reasons, I wanted to see fireworks. I wanted to see drama, but we went the mature route.
She definitely did. She's handled everything with a lot of maturity, honestly. But we can start from the beginning and talk about these dates. They're in New Orleans, having a fun time. Joey gets the first 1-on-1 date, which of course is a hot topic because he's already had one. So now we're already starting to repeat when multiple people haven't had 1-on-1s at all, which says a lot about where Charity's head is at. Like
totally.
Last week we were talking with Joe and Serena, and they were both kind of like, it's been obvious who her top guys have been from the beginning. Like she's not that great at hiding it. I think we could all kind of tell the direction she was going in. So she takes Joey on another date, and I really have no commentary besides this was start to finish a perfect date. Like
perfect.
Joey knocked it out of the park. They had fun. They laughed. And then when they sat down at dinner, it was serious enough where I felt like Joey really was open to that conversation. It's a very serious, important conversation for Charity. And he nailed it. I think he completely nailed it.
I think he's really like just a sincere guy. Like I can really feel that he was being genuine. You know, that is not an easy conversation for Charity to have, obviously. And I think that he was all ears and he's open to going through that with Charity and learning and just being a genuine guy. Like throughout the entire date, I almost started getting nervous because I was like, oh my God, he's so nice. I'm afraid Charity doesn't like him as much as he likes her. But I do think after watching the end of the date, I think that Charity was so blown away by how great of a guy Joey is that sometimes it's hard for her to even like process it, because I don't think she's being used to being treated the way that Joey has been treating her, which I think is really nice. I'm a Joey fan. Like I think he just seems like a great guy.
I could not agree more with that. I think that first of all, he's so cute. Like I like the whole time I was like, Joey is just what an adorable angel. Like the whole time, apart from like his behavior, he just like looks amazing. But yeah, whenever these conversations have to come up, I feel like it happens sometimes. Doesn't matter who the lead is, but every once in a while, a race conversation comes up, and it's you kind of hold your breath a little bit when we're watching these shows, especially The Bachelor, ABC, the history behind it, whatever. I think that they always need to happen, and how people respond to them is important. And like you guys said, Joey knocked out of the park. I think he's genuine, all this stuff. But Rhea, something you said I thought stuck out was that he's just listening and willing to learn. And I think that in those conversations, in that situation, all you can say is that, like, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm willing to learn. I'm here to, go with it through you. I'm not afraid of it. And I think that that is probably the only way that you can really respond to that. And he had his head on right for that. So I appreciate him for that.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely obviously succeeded. And I think Charity really felt the love from him. And he talked about, taking that next step and falling in love with her. And he got a rose. So they are going to his hometown, which is very exciting. And then the 2-on-1, which Kelly, like you said, could not have been happier to bring the 2-on-1 back. It's been a while, kind of forgot about it. Like when this happened, I was like, ooh, I forgot about 2-on. Honestly, perfect candidate. I don't know if producers cast Sean just with this in mind, being like, you know what, this is our guy to bring back the 2-on-1.
Yep.
And he went on the 2-on with Tanner, which also was perfect because Tanner is just like a solid brick wall. He's not being knocked over. He doesn't care how annoying Sean gets. Like he's like trusting himself and his relationship with Charity. And he's just kind of like, hey, what can you do? It's a 2-on-1. And Sean's like, was throwing a fit about it a little bit. And I will say like the date went very well. They went on just a trip through the bayou. They were checking out all the gators. They had a character and a half with the captain who was cracking me up. I mean, when he at the end, when he was like, I mean, if it doesn't work out with any of them, like I'm available.
I love that too.
That made me laugh. But I thought it was pretty like, I mean, obviously the drama came later, but they both handled themselves pretty well while actually being on the date.
Yeah, I was excited for like a Sean meltdown moment because whenever we would hear him talking alone, it was headed in that direction. Actually, on the date, I felt like Charity's connection with Sean was stronger than Tanner. So I was kind of surprised by the result of the end of the episode because the way that it was edited seemed like Sean was getting all the attention and Tanner was kind of just like cool, sitting back, whatever. But yeah, like you said, it was handled well during the date. I just love the fact that Sean was getting riled up like behind the scenes.
I think too, Tanner said something along the lines of like, Sean really wants to like win this date. And I think that too, that happens always with the 2-on-1. It's like, yes, he wants Charity's attention. Yes, he wants her love, whatever. But when we do this thing where there are these two guys fighting for the same girl, that like competitiveness comes out. And Sean, we can't argue, Sean is good at that. Sean played it well. He's charismatic. He held her attention. He was very flirty. Even our guy driving the boat said that he felt that she had more of a connection with him because I think he really went out of his way to make sure that he was the star of the show. He wanted to win. And even the part which I loved, I texted in the group where Charity's kind of off to the side saying her own thing and Sean comes over to like say goodbye and is like making out with her on camera, like totally takes her focus away from what she's up to. And then she went off on another tangent being like, he's just so sweet. Like that was so nice of him to come over here and like say goodbye to me. But in reality, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, he came over here because he knows what's happening and he's, adding more more ammo to his argument. Like he wants to be the one to win this date. And I think that he probably thought that was like a fucking move. And it was, but our girl Charity, she sees through these things. You know what I mean?
To me, it's just Sean wanting to win. I don't think there's any genuine connection. And like, I think on Charity's end, maybe there was, but with Sean, I think it's all about being like the winner. Like it's not because he also, one thing that was driving me fucking nuts was that he kept referring to her as this girl. He wouldn't call her Charity. In all of his testimonials, he'd be like, I mean, like this girl. And I'm like, why does he keep saying this girl? Why isn't he calling her by her name? It was sort of freaking me out. He's like, I've shown this girl as if, she's a stranger. I mean, kind of technically they are strangers, but you get what I'm saying? Like,
right. Like he doesn't want to personify her or something. Like he's just, again,
her name,
it doesn't
just
matter
say
who she
Charity.
is. He just wants to, right. Doesn't
say
matter
her
who she is.
name.
He just wants to win.
Yes. Yeah. Like he was like this Bachelorette.
Yeah. Like I've done all my moves on this Bachelorette. Why is he falling for it? It's like, I don't know, because she's a real person and she's the bullshit, probably.
Mm-hmm.
My dogs are barking out of control. If you guys want to continue the conversation about Sean.
Okay, I can keep going. I just feel like he just has this, like you said, he almost doesn't want to make it personal because
100%. Yeah. Well, I'm sure it will make the rejection sting less if it's less personal. I think
it's more of a game to him 100%. Rather than like, I really like this person. I forgot who said it too. One of the guys, I think this was after the 2-on-1. It was maybe when they were getting another group date. And one of the guys says like, Sean just like he really likes Charity. And I was like, they not reading through this? Like, no, he does not. He just wants to beat you guys. I do you think
he just was like saying, because I almost like got confused as it was going later in, and the more he talked about it, like he kept saying, I feel like I could see us getting married. I could see a wedding. I could see her being the mother of my kids. Like, kind of crazy to say that stuff if you don't mean it.
True. But at the same time, it's like, you say what you got to say. But I wonder if he fell victim, he drank the juice. You know what I mean? Like he knows what he has to say. He knows how he has to do, all this stuff. And I think that he ultimately, yes, is just like wanting to win. And I think too, it maybe was a little bit of an ego bruise for him. Like, why isn't I'm pulling out all my usual moves? Like I said, why isn't she falling all over me? And why is everybody else like also getting attention? Like I feel like I've done everything I've needed to do to secure her attention and her love, and she's not accepting it. And I think that that happens all the time. Like you like somebody a lot and you think that you're giving them everything and they're just like not giving it back and you get frustrated. Like, what the fuck? Like I've done everything. What the hell? But then sometimes at that point it turns into like, all right, well, am I giving everything, or is this just, are we not on the same page? Like, is just because I'm giving what I'm giving doesn't mean that it necessarily has to be accepted,
Yeah, I think that was another part of it where when Sean eventually sat down with Charity and was sent home, she was saying like, I just don't think that we can get there. And he was like, but I feel it though. Like, what do you mean?
Right. It's like, sorry. I don't
like that killed me. Like, I think he walked in to talk to Charity thinking that he was like going to make a lot of good points. And she was like going to give him I feel like he thought he was going to come in there and it was going to go so well. Cause he came in like with that vibe of like, I just want more time with you. Like, that's how much I like you. And she was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, I'm just further along in this process with other guys. And I feel like then he started to backtrack so hard. Like, he's like, no, like, but don't you feel like if we just had that one-on-one time, then we could get there? And she's like, no.
I don't think so. No.
Honestly, props to Charity though, because it must be hard to be in a situation. And even I feel like, Kelly, you were referring to like situations in real life when somebody is like professing their love for you and, oh, but I feel this and I feel that. And sometimes people feel bad being like, I don't feel that way. And, like at least Charity was like, listen, like, I just don't think we're gonna get there. Yeah. And instead of keeping him around and stringing him along, she was like, it's just not gonna work. I will say though, it is crazy that some people didn't get a one-on-one and some people got multiple one-on-ones. Like I understand it's probably, behind the scenes Charity's like, I want more time with this person and whatever. Totally. I do understand the feeling of being like, this is a little unfair. This person's getting now multiple one-on-ones and we haven't even had the shot to get a one-on-one. But when in that situation, I feel like, and I think that's what's happening with Charity. She's like, all right, I know it's not going to work with this one.
The only person that I felt bad for in that situation was Tanner, because when they did have their breakup and she sent him home, that one really did feel like a time thing. Like that one really felt like maybe with a little bit more time that could have turned into something really great. I feel like with Sean, she probably just low-key knew that it just was not gonna work between them.
Mm-hmm.
But with Tanner, I felt like, they just didn't really have those moments. But then again, she clearly knows. I kind of like the move of like, hey, I'm giving these two guys second one-on-one dates because I feel like we have a better connection.
Yeah.
And then of course, like they did that. They did the 2-on-1. She didn't give out a rose. And then they did another group date as well as Dotun getting a second 1-on-1. So her date with Dotun, I think, also went extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of in that, it feels like they're in that too good to be true vibe. Like they have that conversation where he was like, my heart is telling me that yes, like go for it. Like my head saying like fairy tales aren't real like this. Like, could it really work? So I feel like they haven't had any bumps in the road yet, which may be an issue.
I also think that one last thing about Sean going in and talking to her. I think that I didn't hate that move. Normally I don't like it when the guys come in and they like try to say their piece and whatever. But I did kind of think like when he walked in and he was like, listen, what just happened there? Like I left it all on the table, whatever, or so I thought, but it made me realize that there was a lot of things that I wanted to say that were left unsaid. I think he started that off right. Like it could have maybe, I kind of feel like it maybe could have gone a different way if he was a little more receptive to what she was saying, or like, I don't know, maybe just a little less pressure. It felt like pressure, like him going there and him saying all that stuff and her kind of being like, oh, I don't know. And then him kind of pushing the issue of it. I think then in turn puts pressure on her to like make these kind of decisions where, like you said, she has all these other things lined up. She's doing another group date. She's doing another one-on-one. She clearly knows what she's doing. And I think that these wrinkles in the plan are she's overcoming them well. But I just think at the end of the day, I mean, the date with Joey and then the date with Dutton, I don't think Sean could have like compared to either of those. Like they were just so far beyond connection. You know what I mean? Like the day with Dutton where they go and they're, they do the run, they're walking around, they're wearing silly outfits. She said multiple times, like, you're such a trooper. Can't believe you're doing all this for me. Like, you put the tutu on, no problem. Like, it was just a really, really good time between the two of them. It was an opportunity for them to encourage each other while they were in the middle of something. They said at one point, like, Charity was like, yeah, if I was struggling, he would like lift me up. And if he was struggling, I would lift him up. Like that to me was a huge deal because that shows me that like, you can, on the lowest level possible, you can face adversity and get through it together. You know what I mean? Like it's all, at the end of the day, it's all about a partnership. And I think that it needs to be, there needs to be two sides of it. It can't just be one side like Sean's rolling with.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. He pushed it, which was fair.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like, multiple times where Charity's like, I'm not ready can be tough for like, you don't know how that's, you just like really want that rose. So he pushed it and, kind of backfired. But at the end of the day, I think he was going to be sent home anyway. So she had another really good date with Dotun, and then she did a group date to end it with Aaron and Xavier and Tanner, because at that point Sean was gone. Aaron Sneaky was like my favorite part of this episode for just funny sound bites of this guy was just dying to get a date in New Orleans. Like he's like, this is my city. This is the city that made me a man. Like the whole thing. Like I was actually laughing so hard when Don came back from the date and he was like, yeah, we like ran in this marathon, like in this race thing. And Aaron was like, oh, the fucking sun. Like he was like, the Sunfest race, like whatever the hell the name of the race was. Like he was like, oh, like knew exactly what the race was because he's a big New Orleans guy.
Yeah.
So it was just like they really hammered home that this guy was dying for a fucking New Orleans date. Then they didn't give him one. They just had another group date, which obviously still went well for him. And Charity has mentioned multiple times that she can be indecisive. And now it feels like that is coming into play as we come down to the end a little bit. She obviously is still making decisions, but the way she is delaying rose ceremonies and giving herself more time, not a bad thing. Like she's definitely thoroughly thinking about it, which is good. But you can tell there's times when I think flip of a coin, she could be going either way, or flip of a coin, like she could give the rose out in the moment or not. Like Aaron getting that rose and then being like, sorry guys, I need more time to decide between Tanner and Xavier, which like that is the sentiment behind that is nice. But at the end of the day, like you're not going to hometowns with Tanner. We all know that. You haven't had a single moment of alone time with this man. You're not going to meet his family. Just like rip the Band-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the writing's on the wall with all these men. Like we could have probably at the beginning of the episode predicted how it was going to go, generally speaking, especially like I said, after those one-on-one dates were just so good. I wasn't surprised that Aaron got a rose, but I do think that it was a little or no. I'm not surprised that he wasn't given a date in New Orleans if he was eventually going to get a rose, because they're going to come back. Yeah. Like they're just going to come back there and do it.
Right, well, I don't think his family is from there. I think he just lived in New Orleans. He said he lived in New Orleans for 7 years. That's where he became, that city made him a man.
I see. Oh, right. Okay. I missed that part.
Yes.
Yeah. I think, okay. So then whatever. I just think that, I think that happens a lot where maybe, yes, the producers know like what are these people's strengths and whatever, but you don't always get your strength. Like you're not even always going to be served something up on a silver platter. Like I do think that like that would be a major advantage. Like if he had a date in New Orleans, we could like show her the town. Maybe it's not hometowns exactly, but if he feels so strongly about it, it's just kind of a leg up. And I feel like keeping it separate and having the other people be thrown into something they're unfamiliar with kind of puts them on more even ground with Charity, and just kind of, it's just a little less of a perk, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Dotun, Joey, Xavier, Aaron as our hometowns, I think we all thought that was going to be how it went even from the beginning. I feel like if we go back and listen to the first Cutting Stems, I think we picked all of those guys.
I think so too. Xavier for me, I don't remember Xavier like sticking out for me, but maybe I just haven't.
After they had their date, I think they had their first one-on-one date and it was kind of like very transparent. So we have those big moments coming up for hometowns. And then of course the end credit scene rolled. Trent put on his acting pants and put on a show. He nailed it. He nailed it.
I cried. I was so happy for him. It was great.
It was amazing.
I said it was almost better than him actually pulling luggage, because this was like a full sketch. Like it was just so funny to see him like tying his sneakers and putting on it, like the way he like put on his glasses. And honestly, we give Jesse Palmer a lot of flack. We always are kind of, busting Jesse Palmer's balls a little bit. But that was also very funny, him on the phone. It's like, Trent, do not pull luggage. Like, it's just very funny. Great idea. Well executed. It was a perfect way to include Trent without having a luggage pulled. Thank God. God forbid he went on and filmed again and they didn't show him. We would have freaked out. We would have had a major problem. So the way they did this was good.
Agreed.
I'm glad they actually used it, because if they didn't, I was going to have a strong word with ABC.
Yeah.
Because we knew Trent did this and we were like, if they cut it again, we're going to have a problem. But they didn't, and it was great.
I love that they keep flying him around for this, and then he's still not pulling any luggage. Like I just keep bringing him out. Like regardless of, yes, let's see the clips. I want to see all of it, but I do love the idea of Trent like traveling around, like waiting to pull this luggage, and then it just not happening. He's gonna start getting getting antsy. Like he's an addict. He needs a luggage pull.
I know the buildup is crazy now, where like they have to keep having him until he actually pulls somebody's luggage. We're 2 times now that he hasn't actually pulled anybody's luggage.
What I'm saying. He's got to get his fix. How is it? He's suiting up. How many times is he going to suit up? And you don't ask Batman and Superman to suit up and then have them not save the world. You can't have Trent put it all on, glasses, everything, and then, take it away from him.
I know. We're just means they're gonna have to keep having him back. But I'm very glad that there was that final moment. It was great. Hopefully we can get some more details from Trent maybe next week. The guy is busy. I don't know what to say, but he was, like Rhea said, he was ready. He was ready to go. And honestly, it would have almost been too perfect. Like the script, it would have almost seemed fake and pre-planned if Trent went there and pulled Sean's luggage. Yeah. Like in the Barstool world would have been like this is planned. Like
totally.
Charity had to save Sean until this moment so Trent could pull his luggage. Like it almost would have been too predictable.
Yeah, it would have been what a full circle moment. I think that I don't know. I think every group chat that's ever existed would have exploded. Like it just, you know what I mean? Like it was, you're right. It was too perfect. It would have been so fucking funny. I'm curious to know, I'm excited for Sean to see our thoughts. I'm excited to see if he replies to my stories about it. We'll get an official statement.
Yeah. I bet you Sean would have rather had his luggage pulled by Trent than just to be sent home that way.
Right. Maybe it would feel nostalgic for him. He'd be like, well, if it's going to be anybody, at least it's Trent.
Exactly. I bet he's actually probably mad that it wasn't him. So that was very interesting and a great little moment for Trent there. Thank God executed that little bit perfectly. It's a perfect bit, as we like to call it. Perfect bit.
Excellent bit.
Okay, let's cut some stems. Let's give out some roses. Coors Light. I've had my Coors Light ready to go.
Fran, excuse me. So do I.
Wow. Oh, you went a little bigger. I went
big.
Okay. I love that.
I ran to my local bodega. I went big with it. This one says keeping New York chill, which I actually love.
That is awesome.
That is very
cool. Yes, you can check nice and blue, cold, ready to go while we talk about cutting some stems, giving out some roses. Should I just a little cheers to whoever wants to go first?
Little cheers.
Cheers, Kelly. Go ahead. You want to go?
Cheers. Love.
You want to go first, Kel?
Yes, I'll go first. Okay, so I'm going to give my rose to, you know what? I'm going to give my rose this week to Charity. I don't think I've given her a rose yet. I think that she's like really handling everything well. Like normally I'm at this point in the game, I'm pissed off by the lead. I think that they're making mistakes. I think they're being brainwashed. I think whatever. I think Charity has continuously done everything with grace and really just trying to, it's clear that she's in it for the right reasons. You know what I mean? And I feel like the leads always are, but there comes a point where it starts to be like, all right, let's, put your head on, let's do this right. But I think that she's doing the best she can and she's doing it well. People aren't really leaving angry. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe Sean's a little hurt, upset, like I said, bruised ego, but really nobody's kicking and screaming. Everybody's heels, I guess.
Even Tanner is so nice when he was leaving.
Totally.
Too,
and that was sad. Like that made me sad. I was sad to see him go. Like usually at this point, like I said, there are people that are leaving. I'm like, oh, good fucking riddance. Like goodbye. You're the worst. Like get out. But we really haven't had that happen so far. So I'm happy to see that. The stem I'm going to cut is it's hard because I really wasn't pissed off by anybody on this time. Even when Sean was going off being like, I gave it my all and it's not enough. Like, again, that's normally something that I'd be like, all right, well, relax. It's, you're one of however many men. So blah, blah, blah. But I think, I'll cut the stem of the run, not because I didn't think it was a cute date, but because if you told me that I had to show up and run some kind of marathon, I think that I would have to quit. It doesn't matter. Like, unless I can fast walk the entire time, that, forget it. It's just not, it's not happening for me. It's just not something I would like. So I got to cut the stem of that date.
Agreed.
Super fair.
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn up over here. Originally I was going to give my rose to Joey while I was watching it, but that was before we knew Trent was at the end. Because, by the way, we didn't know Trent was going to be in this episode. We knew he did this. We just didn't know what episode it was going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give my rose to Trent's scene, but I'm also going to cut the stem of him not being able to pull luggage. Because I did love the scene, but we're getting no luggage pull.
That's balance.
So now he's just becoming an actor instead of the luggage guy.
Right. which we
Right.
love, but it is not.
Which I'm happy for.
That's not. That's
And I was
not,
so happy for
That's not what
him.
we're here for, though.
But
Right.
like the man's getting blue balled left and right.
Right.
Exactly.
You can't call yourself the luggage guy when every time you show up, there's no luggage.
There's no luggage to pull.
Now there's been more non-pulls than pulls, which
Yep.
is not good.
Mhm.
Not
Yep.
good.
Mhm. Not good for his stats.
Nope.
Yeah. That's very fair. Well,
Yep.
then I will give my rose to Joey. I think we could split that because I thought their date was fantastic. I feel like the chemistry between them is great, and I am happy about that. I'm a little worried. I don't know if we're being thrown off or not. I was a little worried in the preview with Joey's dad being like, "Do you think you're getting the real Joey, like the genuine version, like the real Joey?" And I was like, damn, like, is his dad trying to say he's fucking going on the show for
That's what I mean.
real
Like,
reasons?
is he saying he's fake? Like,
Yeah,
if
like-
no, Joey is fake, I'm gonna be devastated.
I think that was just the editing. Like, I think the dad was just making sure Joey was being himself.
Yeah,
That's what
I think so too.
Oh, is
I hope
my
so.
Joey being himself on this show?
Yeah,
Or is he
Yeah.
afraid?
yeah. I hope so as well. That would be devastating, a devastating blow. And then I'm going to cut the stem of. I mean, I'm just going to cut the stem of Aaron. I'm his tood about the New Orleans dates. Just honestly, it was funny. So it's like it could go either way. I could give it a rose. I could cut it.
Yeah.
But the one moment, it was truly that one moment when Don came back and said where they were, and he was like, eye roll. Like, how do you not know what that race is? Like, I'm the king of New Orleans. It was
Yeah, it's like chill.
Yeah, like it was like, calm down, all right? Like you'll get your time. So that was it for me. But all in all, I thought this was a great episode, start to finish. Like, I was very invested in this episode from Joey's date all the way, to Trent at the end. Really kept us captivated and ready for hometowns. Do either of you have any hometown predictions? Which ones do you think are going to go well?
I don't really have many predictions. This is the most I've been interested in an episode so far. So it's all up from here for me.
Yeah. I don't know if I have any predictions either. I think that I am not quite sure what's going to happen. I think usually we can predict, usually we can put all these guys in a box and we know what's going to happen and whatever. But I do think that Charity is adding an element of surprise that I didn't realize I was missing. I will say that as a whole, this season I've really enjoyed. I think that it's making us think. It's making us like we're distracted from like the usual bullshit drama. What's his face in the beginning is gone. What's his name? I forget already with the earrings. Braden. Yeah, like he was annoying, whatever, but like we got that little bit of drama out of the way. But I'm always somebody who loves the love aspect of The Bachelorette or The Bachelor. Yeah. Like I think that it's a very genuine season so far. So whatever we have in hometowns, I can't imagine is going to change my opinion so much on any of these people. But families always add an element of surprise. Like if your family sucks, we're going to see it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and there's always one family that's like not great. So, or a family that like likes to be on TV too much, or, you know what I mean? Like that can still happen. But apart from that, I feel like all these guys, they're great. So the families they come from must be great too.
Yeah, I think they're all going to, my prediction is that it's all going to go like too well, and Charity is going to have issues picking somebody, because it felt like with the previews, a lot of it was her really freaking out about sending the wrong person home. So I feel like maybe there could be a surprise at the end of this where somebody who we thought had a really good hometown ends up getting sent home. So, Okay, guys, that wraps it up for Cutting Stems. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all of you for watching. And we will be back for hometowns next week.